Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because today's conversation is long overdue and incredibly important. We're talking about the men who built this nation, the men who fought in wars, here and abroad, and the sacrifices they made. Sacrifices that shaped not just Australia, but the entire Western world. And we're not just talking about history. We're talking about the connection between their sacrifices and the freedoms we hold today. The values we once protected and how modern society, through policy, culture, and social change, is gradually reshaping the very countries these men fought to defend. This is a story of courage, identity, responsibility, and legacy, and it deserves to be told in full. Imagine a young Australian man in 1915, barely out of his teens, standing on the deck of a transport ship bound for Gallipoli. He's saying goodbye to his family, unsure if he'll ever see them again. Stepping into a world of bullets, disease, and starvation. He goes forward anyway. That is sacrifice. That is courage. And it is the foundation of the freedoms and society we live in today. Let's begin with Gallipoli. April 25th, 1915. Thousands of Australian and New Zealand soldiers stepped onto a foreign shore. Facing steep cliffs, relentless enemy fire, and disease. Over 8,000 Australians died, nearly 19,000 were wounded, and countless more were forever changed in mind and body. These were not just numbers. They were fathers, sons, and brothers. Every one of them had a story. Letters from Gallipoli reveal the inner world of these soldiers. Fear, courage, and duty. One young soldier wrote, "I fear I may not see another sunrise, but I will fight so that others may live." And another described carrying wounded comrades under fire, knowing that if he hesitated, both of them might die. These men were human, with all the doubts, pain, and hopes we share, yet they acted anyway. World War I defined what it meant to sacrifice for a nation. The Anzacs didn't fight for fame or wealth. They fought because they believed in something bigger than themselves. The idea of freedom, of home, and of a society worth preserving. And when they fell, they left a legacy that would shape Australia's identity for generations. Their courage, discipline, and resilience set the benchmark for every soldier who followed. After the First World War came the Second. Australia was again called upon to defend the world against tyranny. Men fought in North Africa, in Tobruk, in Europe, and across the Pacific. The conditions were brutal. At Tobruk, soldiers endured scorching heat, minimal supplies, and constant attacks, earning the nickname Rats of Tobruk for their extraordinary resilience. In the Pacific, soldiers battled not only the enemy, but tropical disease, heat, and the psychological toll of witnessing friends die around them. Korea and Vietnam brought new challenges. In Vietnam, Australian soldiers faced guerrilla warfare, tropical disease, and political controversy at home. Many returned to a divided nation, with their sacrifices questioned or ignored. In the Middle East and Afghanistan, modern soldiers confront improvised explosives, urban ambushes, and prolonged stress. But the essence remains the same: Every generation of men have faced situations that tested courage, resilience, and loyalty beyond ordinary human endurance. The common thread across all wars is sacrifice. Men willingly risking everything for something greater than themselves. Their courage was not an abstraction, it was tangible. Lived experience, carrying wounded comrades across battlefields, enduring freezing nights or scorching days, surviving on little food and water, and facing the constant presence of death. This is a legacy that modern society rarely asks men to embody, yet it is a foundational to everything we have today. Now let's bring this history into the present. In 2025, a 100-year-old British World War II veteran, Alec Penstone, appeared on Good Morning Britain. He had served aboard the HMS Campania during the D-Day and fought throughout the war. When asked about the current state of his country, he said, and I quote, "My friends gave their lives for a country, for what? The country of today? No, I'm sorry, the sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now. What we fought for was freedom, but now it's a darn sight worse than when I fought." His words were shocking. Here is a man who witnessed the worst of human conflict, who saw his friends die, looking around at the modern nation and saying that it no longer reflects the values that they defended. This isn't just a British concern, it is a reflection of Western societies more broadly. Veterans, older generations, and even many young people are asking the same question. Are the countries we fought for still the same? Are the freedoms, the culture, and the values worth defending today? The veterans' interview sparked a national debate. Surveys show declining national pride, with many citizens feeling that rapid social change had altered the identity of the nation in ways that left them disconnected and disoriented. The statement of one man, forged in the war, resonates far beyond Britain. It is a warning, a wake-up call, and a reflection of what happens when sacrifices of the past are no longer honoured through the present culture and policies. And this brings us to one of the most controversial issues. In modern Western society, large-scale immigration over the past few decades, Australia, the UK, and other Western nations have opened borders to unprecedented numbers of migrants. Governments cite economic benefits, labour shortages, and humanitarian responsibility as reasons. Immigration has undeniably brought diversity, innovation, and growth. But rapid, poorly integrated immigration can have profound effects on social cohesion. Communities can feel fragmented, traditional values and ways of life diluted, and national identity questioned. Many people see the governments acting without hesitation, importing large populations without broad discussion or clear integration plans. This can create feelings of disconnection, anxiety, and even grief among citizens who see the familiar culture landscape changing around them. Critics argue that this shift affects not just identity, but also social stability. It challenges shared cultural norms, affects community trust, and alters political landscapes. Veterans like Penstone are uniquely positioned to see the long-term consequences. They fought to defend a nation built on freedom, responsibility, and shared values. When those values are diluted or changed without care, it creates the sense that their sacrifices, the ultimate sacrifices of their youth, are being devalued. This is about observing a structural transformation in society that is outpacing the capacity for cultural integration. For Western nations, the question is no longer merely economic, it's existential. It's about identity, cohesion, and the ability to preserve a way of life that generations of men defended with their lives. This connects directly to masculinity and the role of man in society today. Courage, discipline, responsibility, and protection were the qualities that allowed man to endure war, build communities, and defend freedom. Today, these traits are increasingly criticized or marginalized. Strength is something considered dangerous. Independence is labelled selfish. Risk-taking is discouraged. Meanwhile, the freedoms men fought for, freedom of speech, freedom of action, and the ability to pursue a purpose, are slowly eroded by cultural pressure, legal frameworks, and social norms. Veterans like Alec Penstone saw freedom as a tangible, living principle. They understood that it had to be protected, valued, and exercised responsibly. Modern society risks losing that principle to tyranny, apathy, cultural shift, and policies that overlook the lessons of history. The connection is clear. Societies that devalue courage, responsibility, and male contribution erode the very foundations that made them strong. When men are discouraged from embodying responsibility and leadership, society loses not just individuals, it loses the backbone of its culture, economic, and moral structure. So what does all of this mean for us? The men who fought and died in Gallipoli, Tobruk, Vietnam, Afghanistan, they did so for freedom, for stability, and for a society worth living in. They didn't fight for perfection, they fought for freedom. Today, it's our responsibility to honour them not just with ceremonies, but through action. We must protect freedoms, defend identity, and value courage and responsibility in ourselves and in others. The sacrifices of the past are not just history, they are warnings. Freedom is fragile. Culture matters. Masculinity and responsibility are not enemies of progress, they are the foundation of it. Courage isn't just for the battlefield. It is in the choices we make, the stands we take, and the legacy we leave. Remember the men who fought before us. Reflect on the society we are building, and ensure that the sacrifices of the past are not in vain. Thank you for listening. Share this, discuss this, and keep the conversation alive. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because remembering is the first step to honouring, and honouring is the first step to living as men who matter.